What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Thank you to everybody that's been watching our streams the last 2 days. Never a dull moment. A lot of our subscribers and viewers have been asking, what do we think about Richard Sherman and Chris Sims' comments on the quarterback position? So here's my take. Richard Sherman, I like him as an analyst, is pretty bold about his takes on Mike White, where he's like, the NFL is a results-driven league. It's all about what you're doing on the field, and you compare that to everything else. So with Mike White, he thinks he's being discounted by his draft stock, where he's a fifth-round pick, and he's not being given any credit for his very good performance with limited experience. You know, a 400-yard game this past Sunday, 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns. He didn't have like a full training camp in preseason to be the #1 guy. He's being thrown into action. He's putting up numbers. The offense looks very good. Excellent chemistry. Everything's productive. And it seems like he has, like, the team is really bought in and rallied around him. Where Zach Wilson, you don't really see that. So if you took like an outsider and said, here, watch these 2 games, watch these 2 quarterbacks, who do you think is #2 pick in the draft? Who do you think is a 5th-round pick in the draft? You know, the film wouldn't lie. Mike White looks like the better quarterback. And that's what Richard Sherman's kind of saying. Like, listen, you know, Zach got his chances, but now this should be Mike White's opportunity to roll with the team and see what happens. And that's I kind of agree with him at this point. You know, you got to do what's best for your team now. But Chris Sims goes with the complete opposite, where Chris Sims comes out and says it's the fans and media forcing the Jets to make a decision to switch their quarterback. It seemed to me like it was the locker room after Zach's comments, where Zach kind of lost the locker room and Garrett Wilson was speaking out, and you could sense all the frustration. So it has nothing to do with the fans, nothing to do with the media. If you ever start making decisions based on that, you should be fired. So I think Chris Sims is way off base there. He also said that Zach deserved the chance to play against a lesser defense in Chicago. But while saying that, he also admitted he thought Mike White would have did better. Well, if you think Mike White's going to do better, why would you play the lesser quarterback? Wouldn't you want to give your team the best chance to win? He also says that, you know, Zach can work on his mechanics in-game, that he can learn on the fly. Well, if that's the case, why hasn't he been doing it? For the most part, his mechanics have been bad the entire time. His fundamental play has been bad the entire time. So a lot of the things Chris Sims says, like, he makes points, but doesn't really, he kind of counteracts them. I'm trying to go with the other one. He said, he said, playing Zach Wilson is really more about the future right now. You gotta endure the warts and growing pains now for the future. No, you don't. You have to play right now at 7-4 or whatever you're at, 6-4, so whatever your record is. You have to give your team the best chance to win. If the quarterback becomes a hindrance where he's holding you back, you have to play the better guy. So if you want to lose games now, so you can say, well, you know, Zach's learning, but what if he's not learning? Like the Patriot game was a perfect example of him not learning from his mistakes. He had 2 weeks to prepare, and he wasn't playing any better. He actually played probably one of the worst games of his career. So you're going to tell your team, you know what? We know Mike White. We think Mike White will give you a spark to be better, but we're with Zach because we have to be. Because what? He's a second pick in the draft? That doesn't make any sense to me. What else did he say? He said there's an unfair standard for Zach. How is there an unfair standard? The Jets have done everything possible to build around this kid. They worked on improving the offensive line, giving him running backs. You have an improved tight end position. You have an improved wide receiver group. You have a quarterback-friendly offense. They've given Zach Wilson every possible chance to succeed. Last year, they brought in his coach. And they're saying, just play within the offense. Just run the offense. Don't play hero football. Clean up your mechanics. Just help us win games. And he hasn't been doing it. How is it an unfair standard? At some point in year 2, you got to show improvement. And we're not asking stark improvement, but you got to score points. You need what, 200 yards passing is not asking a lot. You know, and he's like, well, he's not turning the ball over. He's also not making any throws. Like, the problem with Zach has been he's not making the easy throws. He's making everything look difficult. You can't keep trying to get a guy out there like that with a team that's ready to win, and you know the glaring hole in the team is the quarterback spot. So, and then he doesn't really talk about, he keeps talking about all the things Zach needs to learn. Let's not act like Mike White's a 10-year vet here. Yes, he's older, but he doesn't have like 5 years of starting experience. He's also a young guy trying to learn. But at this point, he seems further along with less experience. So I know Chris Sims has to double down. Zach Wilson's his guy, and he's trying to find ways to defend him. I just don't agree with him, man. Right now, Zach has to take a step back. And this season, his career is not over. Like, Chris Sims thinks that this benching could be the end of Zach Wilson. Well, if that's the case, it's a testament on his character, his resiliency, and his drive to be a great football player. Because if anything, this should fuel him more than ever to prove everybody wrong. So I think Zach Wilson at some point will get a chance to come back and play. I have no idea when that is. But in the meantime, you roll with Mike White. That's the way it's just, this is just common sense at this point, man. So we'll see what happens. Interesting conversations. You know, Damian Woody kind of chimed in too, saying, listen, Mike White should be the guy. Like, let's stop looking at draft position. Let's look at what's on the field, how they're performing, and how the team reacts to them, and how the offense responds. And the numbers don't lie. So let me know what your thoughts are. If you want to share in the comments what you think about Sherman's comments, Chris Sims' comments, and I'll talk to you later.